Okay, thank you for coming to this podcast. It's called, the name is Montreal Podcast. You are the first one here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay.
And congratulations on launching this very exciting
It's going to be
podcast.
huge.
It's going to be massive, massive.
Massive.
I look forward
Yeah.
to having a chat,
Yeah.
and I look forward to
Yeah.
our discussion.
Really amazing because like when I was thinking about starting this, I need to find out who's the first one, who's the first guest. So I asked you, you said yes?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, it's really interesting because, so I guess your viewers probably know this, but you run an amazing restaurant, one of the best restaurants in Montreal. And
That's a commercial. Thank you.
And
already have commercial.
no,
Already.
it's a really great restaurant, and this is how we happened to meet, and then started to chat. And then while I was working on my portrait series, you got to visit my studio, and we got to chat even further. So we already have a bit of that base. So it's really nice of you to invite me for the launch of this podcast.
Yeah, great. And also, we want to let you introduce yourself because like this podcast mainly it's a Montreal podcast. We want to tell stories about people living in Montreal, have experience in Montreal. So could you just
Well,
introduce yourself? Yeah.
to take my entire life into 1 minute. My name is Alex Kasyan. I'm an artist, painter, portrait painter mainly, but I enjoy any kind of representational art. My studio is based in Montreal, and I was born in former Soviet Union. I was born in Georgia, Tbilisi. I've been living in Montreal since I was 14, and this is pretty much it. So today I'm a full-time artist.
Great.
Yes.
But do you find being artist in Montreal easy or a lot of challenges?
I think just like anything, I'm sure it's as hard as being a restaurant owner. There's no such thing as easy in a highly competitive world. You just genuinely gotta love it. Maybe more for arts than restaurants in the sense that not because it's easier, but because there are more people who want to eat than people who want to get their portraits painted.
Yeah.
So you just you just gotta love what you do and do it, and I've been quite fortunate so far. So is it easy? No, but it's great. I just can't see it being any other way.
Yeah, a lot of people say Montreal. There's a lot of art in Montreal, right? It's more like a relaxing city. Like a lot of people appreciate art in Montreal, right?
Art is a very general term, and to say there's a lot of art, it's just like saying there's a lot of food.
Yeah.
It
like
depends.
A behavioral art.
Yeah, it depends. It depends. So while there is a lot of that umbrella term art in Montreal, the type of art that I do is not as broad and popular. So what I do is more of a classical art. Classical painting and drawing, and that is more of a niche.
Okay.
So no, that there isn't as much as I wish there was, but it's definitely growing. It's in the last 10 years, Montreal has had major shift and significant growth in the type of art that I do. As a matter of fact, I have just organized a large exhibition called Corpus 2, where I invited 12 artists, including myself, to exhibit their works. Now, the goal of this exhibition was not only to show some of the great art that's being created today, but also to inspire people and potentially, to direct people into the schools that offer this type of art education. It's very different from the type of classes that you'll find at universities or CEGEPs, colleges. So in Montreal, we have CEGEPs. It's literally learning how to, with your own hands, paint and draw and sculpt without talking too much about it, just getting straight to business. So
I see your personal, this business is booming right now on the Instagram, very, very, a lot of interactions. like on your art, your work on the Instagram.
You're right. You gotta in this field, you've gotta stay active, and maybe if we lived in a time where or a place where the art scene would just kind of where you would have these art agents coming to get you, and but the reality is that either you have to work really, really hard and offer something to public that people would appreciate, and not only work on something meaningful at your house and not talk to it about it and to anybody, but also work really hard, but also share it with public.
Yeah, you have to kind of promote yourself.
You do, and this way, people hear about you, and people come your way, and so for example, my specialty is portrait painting and portrait drawing, and what I discovered in this field is that the way you make a living as an artist is that you work on something that you really like, you put it out in the world, and when you put something really good out in the world, good things come your way. And I'll give you a concrete example. I was inspired to do a series of the paintings, and I produced over like 70 portrait paintings, part of which you were you took part of. And so I would just paint because I love painting, and the more I painted, the more people got interested, and the more people got interested, the more I painted, and so it expanded into something really, really cool. And as a matter of fact, I would share it just to share it online on different platforms, Instagram, Reddit, Facebook. And funny enough, after a couple months of doing that, I had a client or a future client from California who reached out saying that she really enjoyed my works, and long story short, this client was willing to fly all the way to Montreal to spend some time with me at my studio and to get her portrait painted. Now, while there is an element of luck, but I do think that this is a concrete example of doing something that you genuinely love, because you can't. It's not a field that you go there because money is great and and you just do it, but no, it can be one of those ungrateful industries in terms of like you work, you feel like, man, no one's noticing your talent, but it's just not true. You just need a lot of patience, and things work out. You just work, you produce something inspiring, and someone comes back your way. And then following that example, so once you do something good like that, it's a chain reaction. So from that contract, you could get another contract. I'm working on something now that I shared with you privately, but I won't be sharing it with the public yet.
That's a big thing. Yeah.
It's a big thing, so it's really exciting. So,
but two things standing out from your Instagram posting. The one thing is really catching my eyes, at least, is the lapse of you doing your work. That short video to from the beginning to the finish, to the time lapse of you painting one. That's really amazing. The second one is I guess maybe you started, or maybe you created that new way of the in front of you a picture of something, but then you paint some of them like without frame.
Yeah,
that looks like your paint is part of that whole view.
Yeah.
It's not you invented that, right?
I did not invent this. No.
But I definitely I noticed you started. I saw you did that first.
Yeah. No, there are some. No, I definitely gotta give credit where credit is due, and there are some phenomenal artists out there who do plein air painting, and I saw them do that, and I said to myself, "This is so cool."
That's called air painting?
It's called plein air painting. Plein air is a term of spending time outdoors. So it's spending time outdoors and doing painting at the same time.
But then the frame, without frame, the part of the
it's cool,
the part of the view, it looks like
It looks like glass.
Yeah, part of it. Yeah,
Yeah. So my career was entirely dedicated to portrait painting.
Yeah.
However, this summer I thought to myself, I really want to try something different. So to be fair, the series that I told you about, the 70 portraits in 3 months, I burned myself out a little bit. I just couldn't do the portraits anymore. I just said to myself, I need a little break, and being outside with nature was just the perfect solution. I didn't want to stop painting. I just didn't want to do portraits anymore for a short period of time. Now I'm back to it. Everything is good. But while the portrait series was a fantastic research project, I got to meet a lot of people. I got to know you better. But it was also very demanding. It was very hard. Sometimes I would do 2 portraits a day, so that's 8 painting hours. It's painting hours, meaning you literally like touch canvas for 8 hours. It's a lot of hours. It's not physically demanding. It's like your brain just melts. So then I said to myself, what I would like to do is I'd like to go out there and get some painting done. And I started, my first trip was in this beautiful region, Gaspésie. I don't know if you've ever visited.
Gaspé, right?
Gaspé is the kind of this main town in Gaspésie. Gaspésie is a region.
Okay.
And it's one of the most beautiful regions in Canada. And after this, I'll get to that. I've traveled across whole Canada with my friends. But I started my first trip with my friend Antoine Giasson, who also is a gallery owner. So we went for 5 days, and it was perfect time. We went just before the tourist season, late May, early June. Okay. And it was fantastic. We stayed at this hostel that was literally by the beach. So you have the hostel, the beach is there. It's pre-tourist season, so there's plenty of space. So at 6 in the morning, I would get up, go down the beach and paint, go eat, go back, do something else. And basically from the sunrise to the sunset, I would paint. At the time, I was teaching on Tuesdays. So I literally had from Tuesday to Tuesday. So that trip, it was really fun. I taught at night, and then at 7 in the morning at 5 a.m. on Wednesday, we took off. It's a 12-hour drive. Okay. We got there 8 at night, and then in the morning I got up, went straight painted for 5 days in a row, produced, I don't remember, I think it was something like 10 paintings I produced in 5 days. And then packed our bags, went back, and I came back right away to teaching. So while it was intense, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was the best experience ever. So then, after that trip, I just couldn't stop. I said to myself, I've got to go do something else. So my friend, phenomenal artist, Pavel Sokov, who you know, I was bugging him. I was like, man, we've got to go to Banff. It's so beautiful. And I've been like bombarding him with pictures. So we did a trip together. He did a beautiful series of works. So it was a very intense trip because I don't know if you've ever looked into staying anywhere close to Banff, but it's unaffordable. It's unaffordable. Well, I mean, look, supply demand is fair, but
I guess a lot of people
to give you an example, a youth hostel bed is $120 per bed.
Per bed. How many people sharing?
10 people.
Jeez, that's like
a hotel room, the cheapest, and I mean it's fair. July, it's $550 per night. So there's no way. So I was very fortunate. I have a friend who lives in Calgary. So we rented a car, and each day we would drive 300 kilometers back and forth. So, total.
That's so many like Banff. I haven't been to, but
it's stunning, and it's absolutely worth.
Yeah, the water, the color is even not natural.
The water
looks like polluted.
Yeah.
Like the chemical.
Yeah. That's exactly
factory right there.
That's exactly what it looks like. To the point where I actually had to go to the art store. So if any of your listeners are listening to this podcast and thinking of getting into arts, the best art store in town, Kama Pigments. These guys, they make their own, they manufacture their own paint
Okay.
locally, so you get professional grade paint
Wow.
done locally. So here's a little plug, unsponsored,
Yeah.
but it's important to say it's a Montreal podcast.
Yeah.
Long story short, I went there and because of the water, because I didn't even have on my palette, I didn't have that turquoise color.
Yeah.
I actually went there to get specifically turquoise paint. But Banff is beautiful, man. Wow, you can see as many pictures as you want, but once you're there in person, those mountains, the colors of the lake. So no, it was great. It was a fantastic experience. We worked like crazy. It was very rough in terms of like these trips. They're fun, but they're like rough fun. They're kind of like participating in some kind of like a marathon. That's a good comparison. Like, yeah, you're having a good time running a marathon, but it also is exhausting, So.
But I think you guys, like, if you kind of build a good career, and then you guys are gonna be the king of the world, like freelancing, as long as like your lifestyle, and then you have enough customers, and you guys are gonna live like.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's the goal to paint and to have a support, financial support, to be able to produce beautiful work, put all your knowledge, all your heart and soul into it, but also to have people purchasing your works. So,
but it's very risky personal career choice. Like, did you have trouble choosing this? Like when you were young, like early 20s, like you kind of, I'm not sure.
So I'll tell you what. Many people say you should start art when you're young, and I'll tell you why this is a wise idea. When you're older, I'm 41 today.
I'm 47.
You're a bit wiser. But sometimes being wise,
always think about numbers.
Is
right?
overthinking.
Overthinking about financial.
And I was a little bit like I'm looking for the right term. I wasn't really thinking about that many consequences. I would just go for it. I had a lot of like that wildfire.
Like guts.
Not even guts. I just had a vision and I would go for it and then figure it out later.
I hope I can do that on my restaurant. I get vision.
No, you're doing pretty well.
No, it's tough. I have broken leg, walking every day with that like torn Achilles.
Jeez. But so I'll give you an example, and I'll come back to our story. But I decided to, after my high school, I decided to go into commercial illustration. So I wasn't a complete dummy. So I thought to myself, I want to get like some kind of a art-related education that would also,
have some career.
Have a career, because I looked into studying fine arts. And the fine arts programs at the time were just, it's too wishy-washy. And I wanted to, I'm an immigrant. And, as an immigrant, you learn your lessons pretty quickly, So one of the things I said to myself, I don't want to have, minimum wage jobs. I want to like build something, I want to do what I love, and I want to get paid for it. So I just, as attractive as career in fine arts at the time sounded, I thought to myself, illustration was a better bet. So at the time, I was 19 when I started my program at CJIP right here at Dawson College, and I decided to go into, back then it was called illustration design, now it's an illustration program. And the beauty of it is that it was very business/industry focused. I had some great teachers that I'm very grateful for all the education they gave me. And, they were very straight to business. Like, if you didn't deliver what you were asked, you weren't kind of like, tapped on the shoulder, like, good job. And it was so good because it really prepares you. It teaches you, like, I used to draw before, and but I also wanted to get some kind of a computer illustration knowledge, so that was great, for someone like me who had some basic drawing, painting here and there, but I knew that digital image making, like digital illustration, Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, was super useful. So the program taught me that. The program also taught me the discipline, quality of presentation. So, and I was so driven and I was so motivated to be in the program that that I would, whatever I would do it with like lots of passion. So also, so I went to CEGEP a little bit later than everybody else. So I skipped, after high school, I skipped 1 year.
Okay.
I worked, and I worked the types of jobs that I promised myself never to get
Okay,
to those types of jobs.
Okay.
And like I worked in the freezer warehouse, you know, I washed dishes, like all kinds of jobs that you're like, okay, you know, this is good, like when you're young, but you know, in the future, let's make sure this is not going to happen again. So
motivation.
It's motivation. So then, by the time I went to CEGEP, I knew that, for example, if you want to go to drawing sessions with a live model, outside of CEGEP, these things are not free. And it can get quite expensive if you want to do a lot of it. But when you're in a CEGEP system, that has a lot of art classes, each of these art classes has a class with a model. So I'll give you an example. I went to illustration program, but then there was a graphic design program, fine arts program, interior design program. Each of these programs had a drawing class with a model and with a teacher. And it was really funny because pretty quickly I did the math. I'm like, you know, if I go to these teachers and I ask them, can I take a little spot on the corner and I can just sketch, I won't bother you. Teachers loved it. They're like, who is this kid who, you know, this like 19-year-old with like big hair who wants to come in, while our other students are like coming in, they're tired, they don't want to be there. So every teacher loved me. Now, the reason why this played an important role is because it was one of the most important career starters. Because one day I was in my last year, so it's a 3-year program. In my last year, this gentleman from a publishing company reached out to his former art teacher saying, hey, my company is looking for an illustrator. Do you know anybody? And of course, I was the first guy that she thought of because I was beyond motivated to be there. Like I wasn't even in her class. Like I wasn't even registered. Like I would just go there to draw, to practice. Because I was like, you got to use that opportunity because it's education you don't have to pay for, you know? So it's amazing. It's like mileage that I needed, especially being a young, young artist. So I got a really amazing job. So what
is the illustrator? What do they do? Like using computer software or?
No. So this is the coolest thing. So I'll give you an example. You know, let's say if you are in high school and you take a biology class, you go into biology class and you have a big poster with all kinds of sharks or all kinds of whales, and it shows you different species, or all kinds of penguins. I was the guy who would paint all that. So it's all hand painted, and so the way these illustrations would work is that I would hand paint every animal.
I thought those printed though.
And then the company they would have the scans of it, and then the graphic designers, they would put all these illustrations together, and the information and this and that. But I would be the guy who would hand paint all of that.
Then they mass produce.
And then they mass produce it. So then they would like have it proof here, and then they would order back then, and I'm sure it's still done the same way. They would send it to China. They would like print 3,000 posters, and then it would be distributed throughout US and Canada. So that job was amazing because I was still in my last year, and I was one of few who got this job, and I loved it. And I also had amazing teachers who were like, you know, the goal of the program is for you to get a job. You kind of have the job, so instead of us giving you assignments, just like show us what you do for work, and we're going to count it as an assignment. So I loved my program. I'm very grateful to every single teacher that I had. I had some fantastic teachers. So then that job was also, it was like working from home before working from home was a thing. So I had a great job I had a great boss rather, who was like, you know, here's a project, go home. We trust you're gonna put all the like full time into this, 1 month later, come in and just deliver the job. We're going to give you next assignment. So it was great. So this career allowed me to put some money aside, and then I wanted to like push my education further. So at the time, I was looking into different schools. So there was this school in New York, and then there was the school in Florence. So both of these schools are ran by artists, and their goal is to train artists to be classically trained. So, you know, everything that's portrait painting, portrait drawing, sculpture. The problem was that the school in Italy back then was
you mean Florence?
Florence Academy of Arts.
Jesus, that's
yeah. So
that's
Florence,
the Da Vinci coming from that, all the kind of painters.
Da Vinci was a Florentian artist for sure. Michelangelo too.
Those kind of.
But I mean, these schools are not. They're ran by like the Florence Academy. I believe the gentleman who is running it, he must be American. I believe he's an American.
Must be super expensive going to Italy.
Back then, that was the problem. Back then, the Florence Academy was. I don't want to like invent numbers, but it was 12,000, maybe more. I was looking at these amounts. I was like, yeah, who can afford that? I was 20. I was a 22-year-old kid. Like, I didn't have that amount of money. My parents were immigrants, and I was an immigrant. We didn't like per year. Plus, you have to like. But then there was New York, and New York, the school, it was called Water Street Atelier. It was run by this incredible artist, Jacob Collins, and it was basically his studio. And he would have apprentices, you know, so like we would all paint and draw together. So it wasn't like an informal school, like you didn't have classes, you just show up. There were no grades.
Okay.
But it was so difficult to get in that if you're not motivated enough, you're out because there's a whole lineup of people who want to get in. So you didn't need grades to motivate you, like, you know, you were there with like really, really talented painters, you know, young painters, but very, very ambitious, eager to get good. So anyway, thanks to that job working from home, I was able to move to New York and get into that school. And so I would, you know, paint.
But do you still get paid by the company?
Yeah, because it was project based.
Okay.
So once a month I would travel back to Montreal, deliver the job, get the paycheck, and next project I would go back to New York, and I would. Yeah.
That's really old time work from home.
It was great.
And now you work from home, you can bring your laptop to a beach. And
and there was no laptop. It was all like, you know, traditional medium. So like watercolor, gouache, oil. So
amazing.
It was good. It was good. New York was, so when I moved to New York, it was an interesting time to move to New York because.
What year was that?
2007. So in 2007, so I lived there from 2007 to 2008. It played to my advantage because of the economical crush. The U.S. dollar was worth as much, and
I remember that time 1 to Canadian
1 to
dollar.
1. At some point, it was even 98 cents. So getting Canadian check, this sounds like
amazing,
but getting a Canadian check made you wealthier. In US, so anyway, it was
and also the price of American stuff was super low, right?
Yes.
That time.
So that was the reason why I was able to afford the education there. And now it's important to say, because I mentioned the Florence Academy fee, the art school where I went with Jacob Collins, he was only charging us $350 per month. So it was practically free, especially this school. Not that it no longer exists, but due to the high demand, it turned into the Grand Central, back then Academy, and now it's called Grand Central Atelier. I don't want to invent numbers, but I believe kids these days are paying something like $15,000 per year, close to that. I don't quote me on that. I might be more or less.
What guys? That's the thing. What do you learn? How do they train you guys, artists? Like by staring, like you have to have good eye vision. Like you guys different. Every nuance of the color on the canvas, so you guys can tell and they can remember.
So I'm gonna try to explain to you
crazy.
What drawing what is it like to have a drawing or painting education.
It's like staring. For me, it's like staring. Good at eyes. Good eyes. You cannot be nearsighted, right?
You can be, but if there was one element that you're trained the most when you're trying to be a good draftsman is a person that draws. Drawing is a foundation of all the arts. So drawing is the foundation for painting and for sculpture. But I don't want to speak much about sculpture because I'm not as experienced in this, or not experienced
kidding.
at all.
I was just kidding. Like
no, but it's a great question. Yeah. But drawing is the foundation of it all. Now, in drawing, the biggest thing that you train and what makes, let's say, someone who's been drawing for many years versus someone who's starting out is visual memory. For example, when you start drawing, you start drawing very simple shapes. Okay. And it's all about your ability to memorize, so to look, memorize, and repeat. Now, a simple example. If you and I have a triangle that is elongated triangle, we both can look, memorize that it's a triangle, and repeat. So that's first thing.
So you remember the angle, the degrees of angle?
The degrees, yes.
Really?
Yeah. So that's the first thing you remember. Now, in life, you can see shapes everywhere. Yeah. And an easier comparison for anyone who worked in Photoshop, you know that magic wand tool? Yeah. That you can select any shape and it selects that. Yeah, yeah. So that is as much of a shape as a triangle. It's just, it's a more complicated shape. Yeah. So as you train your brain to memorize those shapes and repeat them.
A lot of points, some shapes.
A lot of points. Complicate. So anything is a shape, like regardless of where you look, you know, for example, behind the cameras or actually right here, all these details here, you can kind of memorize them as shapes that are longer, wider. So
does it bother you? Like sometimes, like you look at people, you have something.
You know,
your face doesn't look good.
I've never been not me, so I don't know if that is how everybody thinks or this is how most artists think.
How did you get like you feel like you are financially stable, like choosing your career like at the 22, 23 years old?
Well, you know that the job, the illustration job.
Yeah. Did it last like a lot of years, or?
It lasted for years, that contract, and then ever since it was fine. But that was the first time when I went from like whatever jobs to a job that not only I loved but paid significantly better, you know, stable. Although it was per contract, but the money was more than I've ever made before, but also. So it's important to say, in today's economy, it would be peanuts. Yeah. But back then, when your apartment was worth $600 per month, you know, that you split, you know, that it was very good living. But
you were lucky. Most time you can see like the financial prospect is okay, stable. Now you have to make a hard decision. You know, if I keep going this way. Yeah. And the future may not be very stable because you had income, relatively good income, and you can project to go next year, the year after, you still have a little bit more than that, right? You did not have a tough choice in front of you, saying like, if I go this path, it's like almost.
Well, you know, so as a younger artist, there are a few things. First of all, I always knew that there was nothing else that I would do in which I could see myself excel. Like maybe I was very lucky in the sense that when I was in high school, I wasn't a good student. I wasn't particularly great in French or English. I wasn't particularly great in history or science. I was average, but I was excellent in art. And so I said to myself, I have to give it all because there's no other option. When I was in CJEP in college, you know, the illustration program is really good because it opened multiple options for you. Yeah. And some kids in my class, and I say kids because we're like 19, they were so good in computer arts that I had some classmates that wrote their own video games when they were in high school. So when I see these kids, I'm like, I cannot compete with someone like this in the real world
Yeah.
who can write a video game.
Yeah.
Education is there just to encourage and push, but
Yeah.
not, you have to have a drive in you.
Okay.
And I grew up, I never played video games. I always loved like more classical art. This is my calling in life. So I realized pretty early on, like you just gotta go crazy. You gotta go all in. Otherwise, you can't survive. This is not an industry that allows mediocrity. You can be, I'm not saying you can't be like mediocre Sunday doing it part-time. You can, but you won't make a living. You'll be, and you also can be like, you have to get some kind of a financial education, at least a little bit. I'm not saying you have to like have a PhD in finances, but you've got to be a little bit smart with your money so that, because it's like art is a very complicated craft, but it's also a business. And in a way, you're no different than like running any kind of business, So with years, you learn to like maybe, how can I say it nicely? Because if I say you learn how to sell, it might sound a little like off, but you need to know your value. And you need to stay firm on your value. You cannot shy away and tremble when somebody asks, if you produce something beautiful, something meaningful, and if somebody wants to buy it, don't be afraid to ask for a fair price. I'm not saying like, it's you're created something beautiful, but it can be a product. It's an art, but it's a product, and you have to have a fair price. Now, my specialty is also portrait painting by commission, and it's a luxury service. If you can buy a watch at Walmart, like for $25, but if you want a custom-made watch just for you,
that's unique. Only one.
It's
right?
unique.
Yeah, it's only one.
And
only one version.
It's different. It's a different bracket. It's not going to be $25, and you have to be okay with like that part of the business. You have to be okay with presenting the.
Just keep my portrait. One day going to be very pricey.
It will be very pricey. It's a beautiful portrait. It's one of the portraits that everybody just loves. Every time I post on social media, people go crazy about it.
So like Brazil, Brazil jersey.
Yeah. So no,
that's amazing. You're really lucky to have what you want to do. Most people they don't actually.
100%.
Even me, even today I don't know what to do, because me I always play safe. I grew up very poor, so the university was on my way. It's my way out. So the major I chose was computer science. I knew I'm okay with the computer skills, so I could find a job anywhere, okay paying job. So that's, even today I don't know what is my passion is. Maybe I thought was when I was in my 20s first job, like I knew I was not good at technical stuff. Even I do relatively okay. The manager told me to do this technical support, but I knew I was not into it. So maybe that time I was thinking of project management.
Okay.
I thought was good at talking to people, managing process, the workflow, that kind of stuff, making things more efficient, But I never, even today, I don't have my passion, to be honest. I don't know. I just play safe to be able to feed the family, have a relatively stable financial, every year the income, it's.
While I hear you, but then knowing what you do for a living, I'm not sure if I fully understand your point, because you chose to open a restaurant. Now,
that was a dumb idea. I always tell about it. It was a dumb idea, because to tell the truth, it's always like when I came here with a job offer, so I already had an IT job, full-time job. But it's like you always like when you get like the salary was not bad. Doing IT here, I was network engineer, so the salary was not bad. But then you can see after tax everything, you don't see too much increase. I always wanted something, little bit more than that, or like have more chance to, and also like you always want something to have a small business on the side. Then was dumb to be in the restaurant business, which is really like intensive, labor intensive, very demanding. So I end up like right now I'm doing the full-time restaurant.
But
Lose my
it's
career.
interesting you say that because it's almost like, man, the restaurant you have is, you make some of the best food in Montreal. It's so good. I recommend this restaurant to every single person. On Die restaurant is like,
but this business
insane.
is oversaturated, so the competition is crazy. Sometimes the pricing, you have to have good price, and also sometimes you have, appeal to customers. Like we are doing the classic traditional, but right now it's everything quick and fancy on good on Instagram. Look at our pictures, photos for food. Nobody like seeing, look at the picture, they say I have to come here. It's maybe I'm not good at promoting that, but it's very tough. Young people, they always create, have new ideas to attract more customer looking appealing on the Instagram pictures. It's changing so fast. Even it's like old business, centuries, thousands of years, but the competition is crazy. So it's
I can only imagine. But at the same time, I feel like the taste of the restaurant that you're running, the taste of it is quite unique. It's while there are many restaurants in town, especially in this area, I do think that your restaurant has a very, very distinct, like very different taste. It's really good.
I try to have my personal influence, on this
That's for
the
sure.
restaurant. But that's what I'm saying. Like financially, I'm always very conservative, very like safe first. Like even when I started the restaurant, I had my full-time job for like first 6-7 years. So it's always, for me, it's like playing safe. Very. That's why for any artist like this career, I really admire their kind of courage to choose that path. Because being artist, most of the time it's very, like people told me, maybe probably true, is like when you graduate from art school, most probably 90% chance you don't have a job, stable job, right? So it's like a career choice, very risky. Like that's, when you choose risky path, always the courage. Is really admire those people.
It's so interesting what you're saying. I feel like, so when we're talking about,
But you are not the case, because you kind of you always focused on what you do. But even some people starting out, I speculate, like I guess some of them still look at, it's not that, this thing is not working out like at the beginning, probably gonna switch, right? Change it to shift to another career to find a more stable.
You're right. I feel like, so if there's one element of luck, because some people would argue, oh, it's not luck, it's hard work. There is an element of luck, and I'll tell you what it is. You have to, so they're specific to art career. You're born with an interest. Some would call it talent. I call it just like curiosity. So this is definitely luck. Like some kids are born with no interest. They just can't get it. And some kids just kind of get obsessed. So luck definitely, because like I am lucky to have a mind that is just obsessed. Like I can't sleep at night. I think of things like obsessively. You can't just think of things obsessively and do nothing about it. Like the mileage, the hard work has to be put in. But I would feel like, so this would get you really kind of good and skilled. But then there's another problem. How do you make a living as an artist? And this is where I find the only part of it that is pure luck is your inner character that you're born with. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? And if you are an introvert, now you'll need mad luck to be noticed by some insanely good business or a gallery
to find you,
to push you, which in most cases it's just not going to happen. Nobody's more interested in your success as yourself. And if you're an introvert, unfortunately, it's going to be very tough to go out there and promote your product. And there are so many ways to promote things. It doesn't necessarily mean to go out with your paintings in the heart of the city and show. But you do need to talk to people, because especially so my specialty, portrait artist, it's a people's way of art. It's you're working with people, so you have to be comfortable with people. If you're an introvert, and this is pure luck. Like you're born with it. Either you have it or you don't. Public speaking, if you're shy with it's you're born. Well, it's a skill, but
If you cannot do a podcast,
well, you seem to be doing pretty good. You're very comfortable talking to your clients. You don't have a problem approaching
yeah,
to
yeah. For
people.
me, I like people. Seriously, I like
That's
people. I
very
like the
important.
ideas.
Well, I hope you like people because you started this podcast, so
Yeah.
you need to like it. So now to talk, thinking about what you mentioned about, I feel like, I mean, first of all, moving here, that's a massive risk, like, getting a job offer is one thing, but
Actually not that risky for me because
Okay.
I was 27, 26. I had a good experience, working experience, so my English was okay. So in
Okay.
my field, I got a job offer already. So it was
Mhm.
very natural for me. So I was lucky at that part.
And did
Otherwise,
you
I
move
won't.
with the family or
Yeah,
by
with my
yourself?
wife.
Okay.
With my wife. Yeah.
Okay.
We met in college.
Okay.
So we were lucky. So
Yeah.
nothing so challenging for me after university time.
Well, life doesn't have to be always tough. You got to
Yeah.
enjoy it too
Yeah.
sometimes. So,
But like you moved here 14. Do you did you ask your parents why did they choose to move to Canada, Montreal? Bring the young kid, teenage. Sometimes when teenagers have a lot of, the time you learn things, you have your own ideas. It could be tough. Like some people, if you like young kids like that age, they have rebellious time. If you are in that very tough situation in totally different country, that could be big trouble for them.
yeah. No, I think I have a great relationship with my parents. I'm very grateful for everything that
Did
they
they talk
did
to
for.
you saying like we moved to did they?
They did,
Yeah.
and I think that they took a massive sacrifice because while I was 14 and it was very easy for me to adopt,
Yeah.
they were in their mid 40s, which is kind of funny because I'm in my 40s now, and I'm like, okay, they're pretty young.
No, but if you move to China, live in
That's right.
China,
That's
you will
right.
see the difficulty.
That's
Yeah,
exactly it.
yeah.
So I think they just took a risk, and they said to themselves, there is a safer and better future for the kids. And I'll tell you why. So I was born in Georgia.
Just like, how do you say that Georgia in your language?
So in Georgian, Georgia is called Sakartvelo. It's actually not.
That's
it's
amazing.
Not Georgia.
Difficult.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't sell because people cannot pronounce that name.
And one of the things about Georgia is that it's a tiny country, and the political climate is not very stable because it's a beautiful country. It's got a lot to offer, but in terms of growth and future, everything is so unpredictable. You have these massive powers, like political powers such as Russia.
But still, right? Part of Russia or independent, right?
No, it's independent. But it's independent. But look at Ukraine.
Yeah, because we had the big news. Russia used the military on Georgia, right?
It's now. I'm not saying that was the main reason why they moved, but it's too unpredictable. And I thought so. My mom, she's an amazing person. She's a really bright woman, and she's one of the most ambitious people I've ever met. And so she said, we've got to try something new. Also, she grew up in Soviet Union, and she dreamt of traveling the world, getting out of that Iron Curtain. And so she always envisioned of us like trying a place where you have more freedoms, and so also we moved out in 90s, and 90s was like the dark period of post-Soviet countries. So my parents were just looking for a brighter future for us. They definitely took a massive hit in terms of like the change, as you mentioned. Like imagine moving to China in your 40s, like it's a new language, new culture. So so I'm very grateful that they made this change. But
also Montreal very welcoming to a lot of immigrants.
That's another thing. So Montreal is a great spot for someone who is looking to start fresh. It is a welcoming society. It's also nice because it's a mix. We're not
you can find your community, right?
Yeah, you can find your community, or you can blend in any community quite easily. So it's a great spot. So no, it's I'm very grateful. Also, who knows? Like big part of my kind of development was my ability to move to States. Study there a little bit, get education here. Who knows how life would put my career together, and who knows if in Georgia it would even make sense. Like it's hard to make a living in a developed country as an artist. I don't even know how you would make a living in a developing country as an artist, because like
it's not priority. Right?
I don't know if I would have a client from California flying all the way to Georgia to commission me, a painting. Like it's a different world, different economy, and I don't know if that battle would be way too rough to fight. So, and at least while I was also fortunate to go through immigration as a teenager, meaning that I didn't have to do all the tough work.
But you before you were 14, you only spoke like a Russian, right?
So at home we speak Russian,
And when you came here, you did not have skills of English or French.
I spoke English a little bit because in school we had semi-English class taught by teachers who also learned it, by books. So
like the same thing.
So I could probably order something at a restaurant at a very basic level, but that was it. And French was complete non-existent. And so, but I went to French high school. I did. So I was.
But did you have welcome class to?
That's it.
Okay,
so in Quebec they call it classe d'accueil.
Yeah.
It was a welcome class, and so the welcome class was pretty tough. But at 14, I'm grateful that I did it when I was 14, because it just doesn't get better as you get older.
How long did you take to master the French language? As you're
very
comfortable.
I'm still learning it.
No. You're very comfortable, making friends, going to restaurant with your friends.
Well, I think high school was pretty good. So the first year in high school, you're kind of forced into the French. So when you're 14, you're like, I hate this, but I'm very grateful because now a year later you can actually communicate. So the following year you join the regular program. So with all the kids that have been speaking French their whole life. And then I graduated this last year, Sec 5, and that was pretty much my French education. And then in life I also had both Francophone and Anglophone friends, so it just made it easier. I also took a year off and I worked. I worked in different jobs like Subway, as a typical teenage jobs. But the good thing about working is that you are forced to communicate. You have to speak to people in a language that would serve whatever. If your customer speaks French, you speak French. If your customer speaks English, they speak English. And then from there on, I decided to go into CGIP in English, and then moving to New York, that was English all the way. And now I'm back to Montreal, and I speak both languages, and I speak Russian with
three languages.
Three languages I speak fluently. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's the strong point of Montreal, actually.
Yeah,
I think
I
Montreal, my daughter is 13. She's English, French, and then some Chinese.
Nice.
Half Chinese.
See how amazing it is that she's and it's effortless for her. She just picks up the language, and she grows with it.
French, English, automatic. Yeah. That's amazing. You really admire. Jesus.
Yeah.
I spent my whole life learning English and French.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, English probably good 20, 30, more than 30 years.
So you mentioned that you are learning languages mainly by listening to podcasts.
Yeah. Listening to a lot of podcasts, watching YouTubes before.
Yeah.
But now I spend a lot of time learning French by podcast or
Yeah.
YouTube.
That's one of the best ways to either learn a language or keep up the language.
Yeah.
You know, I listen to, of course, a lot of English media, but also, you know, my Russian is still good because I speak to my parents, but also because I listen to a lot of Russian media in terms of like movies or
propagandas. No,
no, I'm okay with that. You know, I speaking of the content to listen to, I made a conscious decision to like clear my mind as keep my mind as clear as possible from any kinds of, because the media world is so polluted with the amount of information, you know, and
everybody has angles.
And there's plenty of really good audiobooks you can listen to. There are plenty of really good information that's good for your mind, and then it's kind of like food, you know. There's a lot of like junk food out there. It's satisfying in the moment, but gets you, you know, a bit bigger.
For me, it's a different story because I came here when I was 27. So my Chinese already good, like solid, crazy.
Yeah.
So I made my effort, like came here. I try not to use Chinese to read, to get news. Yeah. So to get my mind clear.
Sure.
At the beginning was English. Now it's occupy my mind with French only most of the time.
No, at 27 you have it solidified. You know, I was
very tough for me to like the effort I put to learn English and now French. It's so boring. It's just sometimes like if I cannot sleep, I woke up at night. I just like play the YouTube French YouTube learning, and then I fall asleep.
That is the funniest thing.
Usually like I woke up like at 3 or 4. Like I just like on the low volume, the French.
Is so funny.
Yeah, French lesson. Even happened like a couple of nights, like last week, a week
oh my
before.
God. Yeah.
Especially with my leg, had the Achilles tendon torn. The first week or 2, I woke up 2 or 3 times at night. I always play French lessons on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm happy that your leg is doing better. That the recovery is going better. But it's really funny what you're saying about the you know, finding this one thing that you can listen to and just fall asleep to.
Fall asleep. The French language. It's I spend at least every day. I now average 8 hours to 10 hours listening. You sometimes cannot pay attention to it, but the sound just come to.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
You know, for me, one of the most therapeutic things I can possibly watch, and maybe you'll check it out. There are some watercolor videos that I watch. It's the most calming thing. I mean, I do watercolor, but I really enjoy watching it because there's something about like paint and water going over the paper. It's like hypnotizing. It's so cool. So this is my go-to to like calm down and fall asleep. It's so good. So anyway, so tell me, what's your goal with this podcast in the future? As we're
I always like the ideas, like because I'm coming from China, you know, the way of thinking, you know, the education I had, so it's very different. We learned a lot of when I was in high school. I spent a lot of time reading the Western literature, including Russian. I explained you some great Russian writers, amazing, like they are classic. So it's always like so different way of thinking. Like I always like probably I could say it's like a more collective and individualism in the West. So people like put a lot of efforts on self, you know, expressing and their own ideas. So for me, it's very, very interesting. That's part of the reason I enjoy staying in Montreal. I literally enjoy staying in Montreal because the background I have is the computer science. To make a living, to make a better career, way better in Toronto or San Jose or the Silicon Valley or American cities for the IT engineering. But it's amazing Montreal for me. It's like I find it's like people think very differently, and also at the same time I can be part of North America. So I listen to a lot of English podcasts. like find people arguing each other, how the society functions, how like the balance checks or all the balance of powers, all those kind of stuff is really amazing. So different people, they have whole different ideas about the same stuff.
Yeah.
And the way of that's why I really want to know how things working here in Montreal or like Quebec, or like today you know that the premier of Quebec just resigned.
It's such big news.
Yeah, it's a big news.
Yeah.
Actually, he promised a lot at the beginning, right? When he was a business person, so you thought gonna be a focus on business, right? But many years passed, but I don't think the business situation in Quebec was improved, right?
Yeah, he's been in power since, do you remember what year he was elected?
4 or 5 years or something, at least.
More than 5 years.
Yeah,
more.
He was the executive, right? For what is the airline?
Air Transit.
Right? Yeah, Air Transit.
No, I think more than, I think maybe 8 years.
You expect the business executive background going to be really good at business of the place you run, right? But you look at Montreal, the economy is not it's not going.
It's
very
not
well.
there yet. Yes. Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll see. It's kind of unexpected news, but we'll see what.
That's why I always interested like how things working. Like even in Montreal, right? I always say the biggest thing in Montreal, the problem obvious is the potholes in the winter or the spring. You see every road, like you have this big, and then damn your cars if you don't pay attention, you drive because at night, especially at night, you cannot see that, and then you drive into that, and you kind of big bump, and you damage your tires off.
Yeah. Are you saying that the best business to run in Montreal is to be a car mechanic because the amount of customers you get in winter?
Mechanic, they always have a lot of repairs. And it's amazing. So this podcast issue being here for decades, and you don't see any leaders or the politicians, they address this every day. That's the big problem. Like that's why it's very curious how people can see like this problem is like being there for decades, and the big problem. It's not a small problem. It's a big problem. All the roads in Montreal like crazy.
Yeah, but it's one of the many problems that a city has. But
But I always think all the people, the reporters, journalists, at least need to see this every day to bring this huge issue to the public aware every day. If you are serious about serving the people, saving the city, or serving the province, you have to bring this up every day. Even you cannot fix it, but you have to let people know every day, because this is the thing. It's an elephant in the room. That's a big pink elephant or the red elephant, so obvious. Like you go through that.
It's so
frustrating.
Yeah, Montreal is an interesting city in terms of because it's multicultural. It's a very diverse city, which has its ups and downs. And one of the biggest dividing subjects, as you know, in our city is the bike paths. Because on one hand, it's a green strategy. On the other hand, it kills businesses. And I'll tell you why. When you can't park, when you want to go to a restaurant, you're just not going to go there, if you're a bit further away. And in the winter, there aren't that many bicycles. So
the big city is really good, but not for winter.
No, it's great, except that when it's -20. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna take my family. Like I'm not gonna go pick up my mom and dad and we go
end up
cycling
with broken leg.
That's right. There are many people who you just eliminate a whole population that is not in top shape and ready to go cycling. I have friends who cycle in the winter. There are, I would say, minority. I would say most people are rather, not as much into
it's a great idea. Unfortunately, Montreal is not great for bikes in the winter.
No,
you have to be really quick reaction. If you fall, there's ice, you fall, and you have to be able to jump and balance and not hurting yourself, not break your bones.
And I know a lot of people who cycle and have fallen at some point. So no, it's definitely. But anyway, I guess just like any city, it's hard to manage. It's got a lot of issues, but there are some issues more urgent than others. But we talked about this before, and I said, like I can't even imagine what it's like to manage a city. I have a hard time. Like I recently was organizing an art show. Like it was my vision. I brought all the artists together. The amount of work that it took, it was insane. I even delegated the work. I asked people to help me to like put the show together. And this is like a little art show. To manage a city, I don't know how people do it, and I just like I really hope, I have high hopes with the new administration. They have different views from the last administration. The last administration, I felt like maybe they took too much of one side. They were a little bit more like almost radical in terms of like anti-cars. But look, if we lived in the beautiful Californian season where it's just, gorgeous weather all the time, I would understand.
Yeah, the winter is big.
Our reality just, it's not, and you can't be ignorant, not think about vulnerable, people who can't maybe, they have more limited mobility, they need a car to get by. If you're a senior, you can't exactly go cycling on the ice, like, no, that's not going to work.
You even cannot walk on the ice.
So so far I've been liking what the new administration is doing. In fact, they were addressing the potholes just today. So
yeah, they have to. That's always my.
So I have high hopes. Maybe I'm too naive and too positive in that sense. But I think, look, I think in life you gotta have a positive vision. You gotta be just like there are problems everywhere. There is enough stuff to be negative about in life. It's just how life is. There are wars, there are conflicts, and it's up to us to choose, to have like how we react to things that are happening to us. And I feel like, yes, there are problems, but what can we do about those problems?
We have to be positive about things.
Yeah.
And also here, that's why a lot of people like for engineering background, we always like saying, learn French is so hard. Like English is hard already. Yeah. So in my 40s, I'm working really hard on my French.
Yes.
I really like this city. Montreal is amazing. Especially, I think it's better to have maybe a safety net. When you are not doing very well financially, you still have have some certain support. You give you a little bit boost of your, you can feel like you can try little different things. You fail, it's not end of the world. That's the.
I feel like so if we talk about Montreal, I feel like Montreal is not one city; it's two cities. There's summer Montreal, and then there's winter Montreal, and these are not the same cities. If anyone's visiting Montreal, I would say don't bother coming. Like you're gonna be sad. It's depressing. It's dirty. There's like salt everywhere. It's
salt
just,
and gravels now.
And gravel. It's just ugly. It's not. In the summertime, it turns beautiful. In fact, I would say you should travel in the winter. Like go where it's nice, and then stay in town and enjoy all the festivals and all the awesome things that this city.
But if you like skiing, Montreal is the best.
Well, Montreal isn't the best.
Yeah, in the winter.
Quebec is really good. Quebec as a province. But not Montreal. Skiing, where are you going to go skiing in Montreal?
Oh yeah, no, I mean little bit surroundings.
That's right. No, we're talking like the island, the city.
Island,
It's winter time. It's depressing. So winter, like I actually have appreciation for winter in the countryside. It's beautiful because the snow is always clean. It's fluffy. Like somebody also, because Montreal banned this stove, like the wooden chimneys. But in the country, like you smell that like the burnt wood. It's beautiful. Like country and winter are fantastic together. Montreal, it's just depressing. It's like concrete, dirt, dirty cars. Everybody's like angry. People go somewhere. If you're, God forbid, you're caught in traffic, people like honk at you. It's a disaster. So this city in the summertime is amazing.
But summer is the best because the temperature was always 20-something degrees. Always 25, 26.
That's right.
And it's very breezy and it's crazy. It's the best in the world. And if you go to the Florida or something so hot, crazy.
Once I was So my girlfriend, she has a brother who lives in Texas,
Yeah.
and we went there in July, and everybody was like, "Why did you come from Montreal to
Yeah.
here in July?"
Summer is the best.
It was
Montreal.
unbearable.
Yeah.
It was so unbearable that we would like try to walk on the streets. There would be no one for a good reason.
Yeah.
It was just
Kind
too
of
hot.
scorching.
Too hot.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
yeah.
For this podcast, what do you have suggestions about this? We are doing the first one.
Well, I suggest you invite me back again because this was a
We
really
can talk
fun,
about a lot of things and then just
really fun conversation. And there is nothing I can suggest. I can only say that I really look forward to hearing your other guests, and I know that this podcast is gonna grow.
Yeah.
So
I really like people's stories. Myself as an immigrant, because I had all my ideas, like already had a theory of things, and then I see different things here or there. So it's always evolving. My opinions always evolving, always changing. It's crazy.
No,
like I see like crazy this side, crazy that side. I'm right in the middle or here or there. Everything.
Super.
It's amazing. People like it. Doesn't matter what reason bring you to Montreal, but there's reason behind.
That's right.
Some good decisions, bad decisions, and
That's
enjoy
right.
Montreal. Some people think I have to leave. I have a lot of friends living for Toronto, especially doing the IT job. It's Toronto. A lot of my friends, like after staying like 4 or 5 years in Montreal, they moved to Toronto, or even Calgary or something.
Yeah. Oh,
it's that's why I want to do this small projects, just talking to different people, saying their story about Montreal.
That's great.
Maybe one day we can get some good advices to the city. They can listen to say, oh, some guy on the podcast like great idea, had a great idea about how
Fix
to run
potholes.
fixing potholes, bicycles,
Yeah.
or like the cars, everything.
For sure.
That's what what I hope to do.
That's great. Well, sir, thank you very much for having me as your very first guest.
Thank you. You're the number one.
Yes. I hope that you keep on doing these and
I see you a lot of time in the restaurant, and then we talk like for maybe a year. And I personally I seen you grew the influence on the Instagram. That's amazing.
That's really fun.
Yeah, that's
really
amazing. Cool. You will have huge, even more success.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, man.